We are going to go ahead and get started. I'm Roy Walker with Walk LLC, printing promotional products and marketing mail services. And this is
Garrett Hammonds. We'll have some introductions here that we'll do in more detail. I have a marketing agency that's based out of Norman, Oklahoma called Hammonds Media. And today, Roy and I, when we were getting started on this topic, it was really just kind of a casual conversation where we were nerding out a little bit about the two things that we both love. And turns out that those things, when they get paired together, are pretty powerful. And so that's what led us here today. We wanted to be able to share all the different things that we have come across inside of our experience and our careers in order to be able to help support others who may be doing some of those same things. So, Roy, if you don't mind, I'll start with the story.
Yeah, let me say one other thing.
Sure.
So, of course, this being Global Entrepreneurship Week, this area will be filled with vendors tonight. So, invite everyone back from 6 to 8. Garrett and I will have a table and get an opportunity. But yeah, we've got a lot we're going to do today. I'll go over some of the stuff you see on the table regarding direct mail, and I've got some other samples. I'm going to turn it over to Garrett.
Right. I just want you to picture with me for a moment a consumer, a woman named Ray, who she is walking out of her house, and she goes to her mailbox and she opens it up, and inside of that is a coupon to Kohl's. Ray loves Kohl's, I do too. With the Kohl's Cash and all the different ways they show you how much money you saved while you're at Kohl's, I mean, it's almost a little addictive. I'm like, yeah, give me that discount number. But she takes it inside. She knows that she wants to use the coupons, puts it up on the fridge, and then forgets about it. She totally forgets about it. And a week later, she's scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden, well, there you have it, there's Kohl's. They show up on the news feed, there's an ad that has gone to Ray. And so Ray remembers, oh yeah, I have that coupon that's been on my fridge. I'm gonna take my daughter Tasha, and we're gonna go to Kohl's this weekend, and we're gonna check out this new product line that's being advertised on Facebook. And so they go to Kohl's, and Ray finds the products that she wants to, but Tasha, she's looking for something specific to herself. And she sees this sweater that she wants, but she wonders, I wonder if the price is different online than what it is in store. So while she's in Kohl's, she opens up her phone, she takes a look, and wouldn't you know it, Kohl's had an ad that was giving a 20% off coupon on that item. Well, she buys that online, and while she's in store, she finds a bracelet that she likes that goes with it. And so they go to the checkout, and they do their purchase, and at the end, there's a little check mark. And it says, do you want your receipt by email? And oh, by the way, do you mind if we send you more promotional materials in the future? So there's a lot of different touch points that Ray and Tasha went through in that period of time. The buyer's journey and all of the different mediums, platforms, and time periods in which people make their purchasing decisions is not what it used to be. We nowadays have what's called an omni-channel approach that we have to take. It's not just one channel anymore, it's all of them combined. And the more that you can pair together, the more powerful your marketing is going to be. That's what this is about. How to tailor and target your audience in a way that speaks to them and how they want to purchase and how they go about their everyday lives. And how do we pair together digital marketing and traditional marketing, print marketing, direct mail, in order to be able to do that in the most effective way possible. So, this is a little bit more about me. My name again is Garrett Hammonds. I run a full service digital marketing agency named Hammonds Media, and we do everything under the sun from building websites to being able to optimize those for search engines. We help with social media, anything you can think of, we do those types of services for folks. And I've worked in this for a long time. Our focus really is growth marketing. So if you hear people who are at a place where they're like, man, I just don't know how to take my business to that next level, but I'm ready. That's the type of stuff that we try and work with. We work on that scaling process with folks. And we craft these kind of custom marketing plans and pathways for people to be able to achieve those goals as they go through. Because if you don't have a pathway that you plan for, then any path will get you where you want to go, right? If you don't plan for success, then you're just planning for failure. And so I've been doing this for a long time, not as long as some people, but I'm not just fresh out of school or something like that. I've been doing this for about 7 years, and I've worked with brands on a local level all the way up to doing marketing for Fortune 500 companies and helping with strategy at different sized budgets across the way. I've worked with, over the course of my career, over 50 million in ad spend, and helped be able to manage or consult on that. And a lot of the time, that even means coordinating between a lot of different marketing teams. When you look at companies at a very large scale, you aren't just doing the marketing yourself anymore. You are coordinating and integrating and making it to where it all comes together. And so that's what I do, and I love it. I've been in love with marketing for a long time, and it's a huge passion of mine. And then this man here is incredible, and I'll let him kind of give some information about himself.
All right, and let's see, we have 3 tables that don't have that. I'm Roy Walker, and I basically own a company called Walk the Walk LLC. I've been in the industry for 30 years. What I did was back in the late 90s, 2000 to, well, basically 95 to 99, I sold mailing equipment. So I got an influx into like postage. And over the years, I worked for a guy for 24 years and helped develop some marketing campaigns. There's a saying in our industry: if you print it, you fold it and insert it. If you fold it and insert it, you sort it. So it was called print, insert, sort. It was like 3 tiers, and that's one of the things that I started doing. So as you can see, we basically started from no printing, and in a period of about 8 years, built it up to 1.5 million sheets every single month. At times, it could be up to 10 million sheets around tax time and other specialty notices. My clients were who's who in Oklahoma. And what started out as just an opportunity grew into just a passion. My passion is direct mail. My passion is showing you how to save postage, showing you what works and what doesn't work. And that's why Garrett and I working together is very beneficial, because the reality is there's a lot of things in mail we don't realize. We're going to go over the stuff on your table, including just some templates and some other things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to make sure that everyone understands direct mail is a great tool to promote your business, but don't do it wrong. Don't do it wrong. In our industry, we call it spray and pray. You don't want to spray and pray. Roofers have a bad habit of that. They want to mail things. So I'll share a little bit more about that in a little bit.
So just to set the tone of the context, what we're going to look at the rest of the time, we're going to be taking a look at really the why behind what we're talking about today. Why digital and print together? Why are you merging those? Then we're going to get into some of the principles and methods behind how to be able to put those things into action, while finally looking at really just some use cases and practical examples that other people have done or just things that are ideas for how to be able to get things going that we've implemented in the past. We'll have a little time at the end for some question and answer. I'm certain we won't use up the full amount of time that we have. And if we do, just throw stuff, because it'll be a mess at that point.
No, throw it at him, not me, okay?
I will be ducking behind Roy at that stage. So let's talk about that why. Why digital and print? Why merge those together? Well, we already talked about our story at the beginning. Things today with marketing don't look the same that they did 10 years ago. And that's true of both print as a separate marketing discipline and digital as a separate marketing discipline. And so when you put those together, you have a whole lot of change that's gone on. You can see here, digital, for instance, is really driven by infotainment. We don't just want information, we want the information we consume from businesses in particular to be entertaining, to be something that's fun, but also to provide us value. And so sometimes that means some of the information is a little bit watered down, a little bit muddied, but it's often put into new contexts. So you have Starbucks, employees doing dances on TikTok. You have, people who are just trying to connect as they go through. You have a dog being scared he's gonna be eaten along with the cats. And then you have, I accidentally get my clicker to work right. Then you have bigger businesses, companies like HubSpot, which is a large CRM company, a customer management type of platform, that are just doing little trendy types of posts with theirs. And then you have these educational pieces where video has become so important across platforms, and that's whether you're on a more entertainment-based platform or a professional-based platform, entertainment and the way in which content is created has changed. So has that made direct mail and print marketing more obsolete? Is digital marketing, are people spending all their time there? Well, obviously we wouldn't be here talking about this today if the answer was yes. But I want to be able to emphasize just how impactful this can be when you put those two things together. Now, there's been all kinds of different studies and research that you can find out there. In 2024, Finances Online published a study showing a 400% increase in a campaign that they tested, where the effectiveness of the campaign when they combined digital and print shot up that much. In 2022, Forbes had a multi-channel approach, which here in a minute we'll talk about the little differences between cross-channel, multi-channel, omni-channel. Really, you can think of it pretty much as the same thing if I say that. It's when you're using more than one marketing platform at the same time, they kind of pair up. I keep on hitting the button. But a 28% increase in conversions when there was a pairing of digital and direct and print. And then HubSpot, that company that I was just talking about a minute ago, in 2023, put out a study showing a huge increase inside of their response rate that they received. And one of the big things there is that we remember direct mail more frequently than we remember digital. Why is that? We're scrolling constantly on digital. So you have to have a higher frequency of touch points on digital than what you do with direct mail. So what happens when you pair those together? Well, digital, maybe when Ray is scrolling through Facebook, she remembers, and it's a trigger to that other piece of mail. So that's why it can increase the response rate, the brand awareness that's going through. And I put down this quote from, there's an iconic marketer named Philip Kotler, who he's been in the industry for many, many years, but he works as a professor emeritus at the Kellogg School, and it was put by him, combining physical and digital experiences can create a more memorable and engaging customer experience beyond what is possible with just one medium. So as we're thinking on this, The one thing I want to make very clear is that we're talking about being strategic with how you put these things together. Just because we're talking about multi-channel marketing or cross-channel marketing doesn't mean you have to be everywhere all at once, because that will skew your focus if you try and do everything. But you need to think about, how do I pair together in the smartest way possible my digital marketing and my traditional marketing to be able to get out in front of my ideal audience. You know, with that definition, all you technically would need is 2 platforms at that point. So don't try and do everything, but try to do the things that make the sense for your business. And that's different for everybody's business as you're going through. So with that, let's talk about some cross-channel marketing. Roy's going to give us a little bit more information before we kick into that.
Yeah, the main thing that it's important to understand is when you do a direct mail piece, the Postal Service a few years ago realized that your statements, your invoices, they call it first-class mail, that mail's declining because more people are sending the invoice online. So they negotiated with the banks and the credit unions and the insurance companies and came up with a discount to keep them in first-class mail. But at the same time, they came up with different options for local businesses to promote their mail. We're going to talk about every door direct mail, which is a wonderful asset for a small business, even to a large business. But the other part of target marketing is an email distribution while you're doing a physical mail piece to the individuals, and also a basically digital. So you've got your digital, your email, you've got your physical piece. When all 3 of those go together, you see a major increase in your response, your ROI. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about, is how to do that. Yes, ma'am.
When you say digital, what do you mean by like a Facebook post, or what do you mean by digital?
Facebook post.
Your website, anything that you can think of as a platform where you're marketing online. And so any kind of social media, if you have chat boards like Reddit or something like that, anything you can think of for online platforms would be encompassing of that.
We'll talk a little bit more about this, but it all goes down to a QR code. So basically, when they get the mail piece, there's a QR code that can take them to a website, it can take them to a specific offer, it can take them to a social media site, but QR codes are important. So we'll get more into that, but I want to point out that a few years ago, I attended a training for the Postal Service where there were about 4,000 of us in the audience. And they showed this video and it said, "This is not your grandparents' post office. This is not your grandparents' postal service." Just like our businesses, the Postal Service has had to adjust. But they're working with us in the business industry to come up with very creative ways to promote your business. And that's what's cool about this process. So I'm going to turn it back over to Garrett, and then we'll get more into the direct mail portion in a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the neat things of what Roy is saying there too about some of those tools that come along with your direct mail, there's tools that have been developed to account for some of those digital versus physical platforms that a lot of people don't know about, they don't know exist out there and are for them. And if you do know about them, there's some best practices to be able to implement those in the best way. So let's talk just some definitions real quick. I promised we'd talk about those terms: cross-channel, multi-channel, omni-channel. The whole crux of it is that we're looking at things on multiple platforms at once. Cross-channel is the way that you communicate differently across different channels. Multi-channel is more about your strategy. How do you strategize and be able to mix together the promotions that you're putting in place? And then omni-channel is every channel. So omni-channel, it is different in the way that it makes it to where all of your marketing is included together. So you're taking a more holistic approach as you're going through. So because I'm kind of fragrantly throwing those terms out there, I wanted to just kind of give those definitions and even something that feels more common day, like just saying digital. Digital, it can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. And so as we're going through and you're thinking about your marketing, think about the way that you interact online, and that's how you're going to be trying to be able to understand your audience as well. So here, I want us to be able to really hone in on exactly what I just mentioned, the audience. With your marketing, whether you are on print marketing, whether you are doing Google ads, or whether it's your website messaging, anything that you do, hard stop, you have to be able to understand your audience. If you don't, it really is just a law of averages. It's the spray and pray. You're hoping that if you get out in front of enough people, that one of them will be the right fit for you. And that is a perfect recipe to lose a lot of money. And I hate that. I personally want my dollars to work for me. And so each of these, this is a quote from the CEO of Airbnb, build something 100 people love, not something 1 million people kind of like. So what's the key takeaway there? If you build something for 100 people, you know exactly who those 100 people are. You know their intimate interests, what motivates them to be able to make purchasing decisions, where their pain points are at, what they like to do to be able to go and learn new information. So I want to talk about some of those different categories and some common questions that you can ask to be able to understand your audience on that intimate level as well. And those categories will cross 3 different areas here. Demographics, which is really the characteristics that make up your audience members. The geographics, or the regional kind of boundaries or associations that you'll make with your audience members, which can sometimes bring into play cultural things. We talk about, inside of the marketing industry, localization campaigns, which is when you're going to a very specific area, you may have different languages that you have to make a campaign in. You may have to account for different socioeconomics. You may have to do all kinds of different things. And that's where we have geographics come into play. And the last one is where I have kind of the most fun, which is your psychographics. Those psychographics is how we think about stuff and how we psychologically process things. And so even though pain points can come across these 2 different areas, a lot of time our pain points live in those psychographic areas, right? So we have our physical pain points. So if I have a backache and I need a fix for that, I may think, well, I need a back brace because that hurts, right? And so yes, that's true, but also on the inside, I may have inflammation that's happening, and I'm thinking, well, maybe the solution is ibuprofen. I need to get the swelling down. But then even further underneath that, you're thinking, what is my life like if I didn't have to experience that pain? And so you have these multi-different tiers, and there isn't always necessarily one answer for all of those. So for your product and business, what are you doing to help solve any one of those different pain points or multiple areas of those pain points? And how deep are you going with your questions? So let's understand some of those tailoring points for messaging and distributing your messages at different parts of the buyer's journey. So these are a lot of questions. I encourage you, take a picture of this if it's helpful, or whatever is most useful to you. The ones that we'll just kind of walk through that I've always really loved, this is one of my favorite questions to ask when doing audience research. What is the things that they may carry around in their pockets? You know, you don't always go there when you think about, you know, how do I sell a phone or something like that? Okay, yeah, maybe that's carried around in a pocket. But say that you're trying to be able to sell luxury, dishes, fine dining plates, and I don't know, something that's more luxury product. Well, if somebody has in their pocket an iPhone, you know, they may be somebody who wants to feel a little bit more higher class, or maybe they want to be able to feel like they have some sort of integrated system that doesn't, you know, branch out to all kinds of crazy stuff. Or maybe they have a Gucci wallet or something to that nature. You never know what somebody's carrying around. Maybe they're carrying around pepper spray, so they are a little bit, you know, more cautious and protective as they go through their life. There's all kinds of different things. No one item, obviously. I'm spitballing right now, so I can get myself in trouble if I go too deep. But anyway, that's a fun one to explore. Some of the other ones that I really enjoy talking about is what stage of life are they in? Are they a new parent? Are they recently moved into a new location? You know, so are they trying to build new friend groups? Are they a new employee? Pretty much, you can look at a lot of news. If there's new behind the stage of life, there's usually opportunity with being able to get out in front of somebody inside the market. So that's a fun one. I also really like this one and this one paired together. So, for instance, I've worked with a lot of B2B businesses, and B2B businesses don't usually have a product that you necessarily just buy with one button push online. You know, we're talking thousands of dollars for products, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars or beyond. And with that, you may have somebody who is your initial touch point, but then they have a boss that they have to go to and ask, you know, hey, I need to buy tickets to this conference for the team. It's gonna be, you know, $8,000 for us to be able to get all the tickets, and we're gonna have to do $5,000 for the plane rides there, and then there's gonna be housing. And so there's a lot of factors that they can't just pull the trigger on. So maybe your marketing has to be able to account for a PDF that says, how do you pitch this product to your boss? You know, how do you justify this to your employer? And you help them and give them resources. So your marketing has to go deeper than just, hey, this is a cool conference, you should go. It has to go beyond. And so that's where some of these questions come into play, and the more that you know about your customers, the better you'll be able to prepare for that marketing journey that you're going on with those customers. You're a part of the journey, you're not the heroes of their story. So here's 3 categories of content, and this crosses over into some of the examples Roy is going to show us later on. Spoiler alert, there's a dog that's going to pop up on one of these direct mail pieces. There may be some examples out on the tables now, but that dog is super cute. So heads up, that's your teaser. With this, 3 E's of content marketing and distribution. Content marketing being any type of images or text that you create for social media, could be a blog article, any type of thing that you're creating to be able to get out in front of your audience. So with that, educate, engage, and entertain. You always want to do at least one of these things. Ideally, you want to do all of the things, or as much of it as you can. So with focus areas, let's look at a couple of specific examples. Now these are all going to be digital, but like I said, there's going to be crossover examples here in a minute as well with some of the direct marketing stuff that we're going to look at on the print side. So these are all going to be from LinkedIn. I wanted to stick with one platform. That way it can be a little bit more cohesive inside of some of the nuances. But educate, we see a lot more nowadays of these carousel style posts. We like to be able to learn on LinkedIn, and with this, believe it or not, this is going to cross over into a lot of other things you do. You may be creating these content carousels that are teaching people about something that they are struggling with, a challenge that they're trying to overcome, and you're giving them a solution to that. Whether that's related to your product directly or not. But then you may say, okay, I have these 7 pages to my carousel where I've really highlighted the most important things I want people to know. I can expand on that and make a blog article out of that now. So now you have an outline for a blog article, and you have some images that you've created to help you get started along the way. Oh, but by the way, I now have also seen how people are reacting to this. I've got good interactions and comments. I get direct feedback on that on this content. And so I can then change it, alter it, tailor it, optimize it for my direct mail campaigns. And I can create print materials based on what I've already tested and optimized from digital. Engagement. Engagement is really just getting people to interact with your stuff. And when we think about how to be able to share our businesses out there, the very first thing that comes into our heads is I have to tell people about my product or my service. They need to know, because this is what's going to solve their problems. They don't know that yet, but I'm going to tell them about my product, and it's going to get out there. We don't go to social media for that. Often businesses forget that we have to put the social in social media. It is the experience part of it. And so we need content that is going to be teaching them things or giving them ways that they can interact. Video is huge right now with that. If people watch more than 3 seconds of your video, you have won a small battle. You haven't won the whole battle, but that's the first little victory. And as you go through, the more videos of yours that they watch, the more that your content will get shown to them. And those are interactions. You're having different touch points with them. So video is a great way to engage. But this Sephora post, I love. They are incredible at being able to tell their brand story online. They get their employees involved, and they talk about what those employees' value is to the company. So this one is highlighting some of their stockroom managers. And it tells the story of these individuals down here that are tagged in the post, and it talks about the way in which they impact the company, and then in turn help provide to the mission where they are empowering everyone to celebrate their beauty. So very, very good storytelling, but that's engaging, right? They're including other people in the story, and then that encourages, in turn, their customers to tell their story as well. And so you have people blowing up the comments and talking about all the different parts of their experience. That's the type of thing that we want to do. And then finally, we have this entertainment factor, which even on LinkedIn is now becoming super popular. In beta right now on mobile is a video tab. And that video tab, which you can see down here on this, that video tab mimics a lot like what we see on Reels for Instagram or TikTok. It's video scrollable content. It's just slightly more professional most of the time. Sometimes. This brand here, ClickUp, is a huge tech company that is a project management software. And that software is meant to be for people who are day in, day out having to manage projects and keep on timelines and deadlines, who are setting up systems and operations, all the stuff that sounds really boring to me that I have to do but that I don't love doing. So the people who love it, it's typically they're pretty straightforward, organized people. That's not this brand, their vibe. this man is karaokeing and dancing in this video, and they're being silly, and people love it, and their audience flocks to that because they are being authentic and interesting and different than all the other brands that are out there that are saying, yeah, if you change the priority level on your thing and you map it to this thing over here, and then 5 days later there's going to be an automation that runs through. Way less interesting than somebody dancing and singing karaoke. So we have to be able to think about how do we maintain the integrity of what we want our brand to be while also being interesting. You don't have to dance and do karaoke. But you do have to think about, what does my audience look for? What can I do to make real connections with them? And one of my, Grace, my business partner and my wife, she saves TikToks for me all the time. She shows me. And there was a huge real estate brand one time that I had no idea who the company was, but I couldn't stop watching their video. They were just spinning around in chairs in a big room. That was literally it. It was choreographed chair spinning. And I watched that video a really long time, multiple times. That's the type of thing. But then I found out that they were a real estate company, and I was like, that's awesome. That's really neat that they are just having fun as a company. So we learn about your personality. This one over here, this is back to kind of that education style, but it's education with a lot of fun. SEMrush is a SEO kind of research brand. It helps people be able to optimize their sites for search engines. They do a lot of different stuff, but they're a pretty big brand as well. And they market to marketers. And this content says, hey, we understand you. And I love their content because it makes me laugh. I'm like, yeah, that is what we're like. We do that. And so this was like a little Halloween one. So trying to be able to show we don't just have products, but we are in this with you and we get you. We understand you and what you're going through. All right, we're on to some use cases and some practical examples that we're going to dig into. We'll have a few bullet points here that are just random examples. Roy, do you want to talk on these at all as we're going through? Or do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So with quickly testing and iterating, that's what we were talking about earlier. When you have a social media post, for instance, you can test out language that you want to use in a campaign. If it doesn't work very well, guess what? In a couple of weeks, you can post another post and you can try out different language. Or you can try different language on different platforms. One on Instagram with slightly different language. One on Facebook with slightly different language. Go to where your audience is at and see how they respond to it. And then you can even do this on advertising campaigns. So if you have an ad that you're running in Google search, they give you 12 headlines. They give you 5 descriptions. Those are all ones that Google's rapidly testing, and they are putting up to the top of how they are showing those campaigns the phrases that people respond to in the best way. And
It's not any different than direct mail.
yeah.
In other words, direct mail is the same way. One of the things that, like it's talking about here, campaign language, a marketer may try 5 or 6 different versions of a letter with certain headers, certain pictures that get people's attention, because it's all a matter of your target audience. Are you getting across? But the other key is the same thing, except areas are involved. So an example is they may try 5 different mailers, the same mailer in 4 or 5 different zip codes. And so they'll do the same thing as this, except they'll maybe send out 5,000 pieces, 5 different mailers, and send out 250 to 300 per zip code, and then track and see which zip code and which marketed piece is getting the best response. And that's the key. It's like not putting all your bucks or all your eggs in one basket. You're mixing it up so you can make sure that you're getting enough, that you're getting an ROI, a return on your investment. So that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll notice a lot of these categories, and for instance, this one at the end, it can go either way. There are different things that are benefited. One of the digital pieces that makes it fast iteration is that you can do it at a cheaper rate and then incorporate it into your direct mail. Now, on the opposite side, things that you can do on print that you then can bring over into the digital side, the QR codes that Roy was talking about. Now, there's this really fun tracking method with URLs that's called UTM codes. So if you've ever seen a URL and then it has like a question mark in it and then like a string of seemingly nonsensical words, those are your UTM parameters. And that's how businesses know where you came from when you click on things. And QR codes, you can actually put those tracking parameters in the QR codes. So if you've started to notice on your TV commercials, there's a lot more QR codes popping up. That's why. People are starting to be able to understand. If somebody scans that QR code, and I know that it came from TV campaign 1, I can actually retarget that on the digital side to those exact people who scanned that QR code. And so it makes it more efficient. On print, that's so valuable because you have a medium that historically has had to take a broader method to tracking success. But now, that's not the case. You can have a lot more accurate targeting that comes from that. And so we have tracking that we can do on multiple levels. So for instance, we are able to do even unique URLs. So if my website is Hammonds Media, instead of putting Hammonds Media on my mail out, I may make a little subdomain just for the mailing that is go.hammondsmedia.com. And if people use that URL, I know they came from that print mail campaign. Same thing with phone numbers. You can buy as many phone numbers as you want out there. And if you buy a unique phone number just for your mailing campaign, well, now you can know exactly who called from your mailing campaign. And so it makes it to where all of those things you can retarget based on that, and you can track better based on that. And Roy has some incredible tips and tricks too that we touched on a little bit, but that he's going to continue to be able to give to us here. He mentioned some of that zip code marketing too. You get mailing lists that you know where people come from, but you also get email lists sometimes. Correct. And you get when you do it in the right formats, you can send it out to people in email ahead of time where it's clickable links. And so people are going on multiple platforms to be able to access their direct mail information. So some other examples of where those may come into play: conference materials, any kind of promos, if you have stickers, products that go out, you can put QR codes or phone numbers or unique URLs on any of those. Business cards, and one thing that we love is also making unique business card styles, or even just incorporating on your main business card a QR code to be able to go straight to your reviews, asking somebody for a review. For local businesses, this is huge. Reviews are one of the highest ranking factors for your Google business profile, which is where people find you on maps, which is where you rank in specific area codes. And so those are really cool ways, and you have a customer that you helped to be able to just blow up his reviews after doing that, which I think is awesome. And we have print ads and mailers, flyers, door hangers. You could even put a QR code on the front door of your brick and mortar business.
And I can print all those.
You can print and do all of that.
Yep.
So some interesting examples. And now, here, as promised, the dog.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you a funny story And it wasn't a dog, it was a cat. But my wife, we were watching a TV show, and we have a little rat terrier. And my wife paused the TV on the exact time that this black cat showed up. But you know, when you pause, it's like larger than life. Well, that dog thought, what's this cat doing in our house? And she literally started barking at the cat. So that's a perfect example of this. But I want to ask a couple questions. What do all these pieces have in common?
Their size. But, they're going to someone's mailbox.
Different size.
I thought they were saying.
Would you believe the same postage? Okay, this is like a 6 by 11. This is a 6 by 11. This is actually, I hate getting these, but I love getting them because I save them. It's a really cool way to promote your business, but it's in an envelope. This is a Norman Regional. It's all standard marketing mail. The mail piece you see that has the dog on it is actually a Target marketed piece that the one side stayed the same. So one of the things that we did when we started marketing this piece is it's called image. So the one side stayed the same, but then on the back side it had to do with the offer and the wording on the front. So maybe the dog stayed the same, but then a little bit of additional wording. But yeah, all of these are the same postage. It's just the type of mail they are and their target audience. Another interesting thing, how many of y'all have mailed postcards? Okay? Would you believe that all of these can be mailed as a postcard?
Yeah, like the small postcard rate, is that what you're saying?
Yes. See, the thing about it is a perfect example. This is a postcard rate. It's normally the common, 3.5 by 8.5 card. In fact, this is, I can't figure out why I got it because that person hasn't lived there in 30 years. But anyway, this is the common, a 4 by 6 or a 3.5 by 5.5 card. But if you do over 500 pieces at one time, and you utilize a company like myself, you can mail up to a 6 by 9 card for the same price as this. Perfect example is these two cards. So one of my vendors does target marketing, and they sent me an email saying, I got a mailer that they want to do. There's 487 of them. Okay? 487. Now what did I just say to you? 500. I said, whoa, 487. What size, what would this normally cost? By the way, this is 5 by 7, not 4 by 6. So what do you think this normally would cost?
$2.
74 cents, not $2. Yeah, yeah. It's first class mail, so it's like a first class postcard or first class stamp, like whatever your forever stamps that you buy. They're 73 cents. They could get it down to 40 cents on 487 pieces if they added 14 pieces. Now, just mail it. I'm like, really? Yeah, just mail it. So I was like, okay. So then moving forward, after that one, then they've mailed like 700 or 1,300 or whatever it is, and it's a tremendous savings because you're going from 73 cents down to 40 cents for first class mail.
Now, what do these two have in common?
They're larger.
Shiny.
Yes, in fact, you have this one on, everyone has a copy of this. These are called every door direct mail. Go to the next. Next one. We'll go back. So, yeah, thank you. So, every door direct mail, how many of y'all are business to consumer? Okay. How many of y'all are targeted consumers? Or every door? Like Broke Brewery would be every door.
Right.
It means it doesn't matter. What kind of business?
Real estate. So if we said mail, it'd be to people asking, if they're looking to sell their house.
So every door direct mail is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay? Your business.
I'm a realtor. They want to sell their house.
So every door direct mail is
Right.
probably not a good idea.
Mhm.
However, it might be.
Every door for me.
Every door because, see, the difference is the renters may want to buy a home. The people that own a home may want to get a bigger home. What's your business?
I'm here representing two, but I'm a service business.
Okay?
So mostly for people over the age of 60, 70 and up.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the reality is, every door direct mail will not work for you. Why will it not work for her and it will for realtors?
Because she only wants a specific target. Right?
She needs a specific
Like
age.
55 up in communities or something.
Now, what happened here, this is a funny story. This guy got mad, literally, because he wanted to target a specific route. Now, every door direct mail, the way it works is, if I want to target with every door direct mail, it goes to every house. So you can tell me a north, a south, an east, and a west boundary, and I can tell you, okay, that's route 73101, that's route 5, there's 800 households. 800 physical households. It's going to go to every door. Well, there was an apartment complex that he couldn't get in the door. So he got smart. He said, you know what? I'm just going to mail to every one of them. So he mailed this out, which meant it went to that entire complex and some of the homes around it. But he accomplished it, and he did it for 6 months in a row, once a month. So when they got it and they're renting, they thought, man, we need to call this guy. Now this one, both of these, what they have in common, by the way, do you notice how little bit of a size difference that is? You see that? This is 6 1/8 inches. This is 6 1/4 inches. This is 4 by 12. See, if I cut off a 1/2 inch, this would not qualify. Because the Postal Service, in order to do every door direct mail, it has to be larger than a letter size. So that's the reason why on this one, it was 4 by 12. This one, it was 6 1/4 by 8, or 6 1/4 by 11. So that's the key about target marketing. Now, what sets target marketing apart is your audience. I'm going to go back to this one. I work with a client, they're in Colorado, and this lady was really smart. She came up with an idea to do educational sessions for Medicare. She applied for a nonprofit authorization from the Postal Service. She set up a nonprofit company for education. Now, what's funny about these cards, these go out at 20 cents a piece, 17 cents, 19 cents. These go out at about 35 to 38. But that's because she set up a nonprofit arm of her business. Then I negotiated with the Postal Service to allow her to mail from Oklahoma City to Colorado. And now we do Colorado, we do Texas, we do Washington State, we do Iowa. And the benefit, it's education. It doesn't work for everyone because obviously you have to be nonprofit. But that's a perfect example. Now, these are other examples of nonprofits. I'm sure maybe if you guys have given to the Salvation Army, you might have gotten one of these. This one is City Rescue Mission, one of my clients. Basically the same thing. All of these represent nonprofit mail. But the key is know your target audience. Now, when you do every door direct mail, you have to decide what percentage of my audience is not going to qualify. So an example is if it's maybe 25, 30%, but I can save, because every door direct mail, that's 21 cents. Postage. That's why sometimes roofers do every door direct mail. Now, let me ask a question. Why would a roofing company do every door direct mail?
Every home has a roof.
Say it again?
Every home has a roof.
Well, you put in an address and a radius, right?
Exactly.
So you just target the houses around the store, right?
Yes. So let me tell you a true story. 10,000 pieces. Guess how many homeowners there were out of that 10,000? 6. Now, you do the math. 21 cents a piece times 4,000 pieces. If they did standard marketing mail, they had to buy a list. They only mailed to the 6,000, but they're getting it to their audience.
So $2,100, and they
Yep.
got 6 roofs. So each roof, let's just say a minimum $15,000.
That's what they're figuring. But they're sending it to apartment complexes.
$90,000.
Yeah.
in revenue from 6.
Well, it wouldn't be because you have materials.
Yeah.
$50,000
I mean, not-
is expensive for a roof.
Right.
15 grand?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Roof cost is going up.
Not that.
Well, keep in mind if you're doing this on a digital platform too.
Yeah.
That if you're a roofer or a real estate agent, it's gonna be more expensive per click than 21 cents a click.
Yeah.
It's congested.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Now, what we did do though, Garrett, for this client, they were mailing to a specific area that had a tornado come through, and they knew the route because they had one client that wanted to mail out these 10,000 pieces. No QR code, just mail, pray and spray. I ran the same report, came up with like 6,500 actual homeowners. Then I went on his Google page and I created a QR code that we put on the mail piece that when they scanned the QR code, it went right to his Google page, and they could view all of his reviews. They could review the, he's a local company. They could review all of that. That's the benefit of a QR code, which is what this client does. Let's see, pointer. Oh, wait, the middle? Yeah, that's what this client did. That QR code. So there's a lot of benefits. Now, let me tell you a little secret. There's a lot of shortcuts, but you need the experts to walk you through it, and it's not that expensive. Now, QR codes. I've printed up a QR code that size right there because the client needed to cover up a QR code to change because he changed his website. So I printed it up on label stock. He rolled it out, slapped the QR code on it, put his banner out. Another little shortcut that I learned, how many of y'all have a Google review page? Do you have a Google review page? How many of y'all know about the fact that there's a way that you can create a Google review card? I have a shortcut. It's a hidden secret, but inside Google, you can click on, like an example. I couldn't do it for this roofer because he didn't have his Google page completely set up. Every time I clicked on it for a Google review, it wouldn't work. But if they have a physical Google review, what I was able to do is I was able to type in that address underneath a search engine, and I was able to create a Google review card, like a 4x6 card, that on it says, scan this to give me a Google review. And every time, AC company, I've got a handyman company like you were talking about, that he saw a increase, over 150% increase in his Google reviews because he just started having his techs hand out that card and people would scan it. So there's a lot of shortcuts, a lot of savings out there. Any questions?
I have a question. On the mailers you're talking about getting a certain quantity to get a certain price for like residential, what if you wanted to do it to businesses? Is it different?
No different. Let me ask everybody a question. How many pieces do you think you have to mail this size to get a discount?
500? 500?
No.
200?
200. Very good. 200 pieces. Perfect example is that. 200 pieces. See, 200 or more pieces, you can do standard marketing mail. First class mail, you got to do 500. Now, so here's, if you want to write this down, a first class stamp is 73 cents. Every door direct mail is 21 cents, but it's to every door. Nonprofit, if you know a church or others that qualify, that's about 20 cents. Standard marketing mail is anywhere from 33 to 49 cents. Normally about 40 cents a piece. So from a 73-cent stamp down to 40 cents, and yeah, you only have to do 200 or more pieces to qualify. Here's my to-do list for everybody. Know your audience, pick your areas, and go for it.
And I think think that's kind of perfect transitioned into just kind of summarize and bring everything all together. And that very last thing that Roy said, go for it. As you go through, you're gonna try stuff, and not everything's gonna work. But when you do that, be intentional, make sure you have a plan. When we talk about understanding your audience, we're talking about a mindset of how you are preparing for these things. And so you're gonna try things, but make sure you are set up in a way that you know what's gonna work and what doesn't work, and that you're able to make decisions based on that. And so we have some tracking and different success keys that go along here that we talked about today. We talked about how those different mediums, the multi-channel marketing works together in order to be able to support your growth. I also want to make sure everybody is thinking about those 3 E's: educate, engage, and entertain. And then we talked a lot about QR codes. One thing I don't know if I mentioned or put up on a slide earlier, if you want a tool that's totally free and will build those codes for you onto your URL, write down utm.io. So the letter U as in unicorn, T as in
Tom.
Tyrannosaurus Rex,
Yeah.
or Tom if you want the easy approach. And then M as in mom, .io. So I love that tool, and they have a little Chrome extension that will let you, as you're on the URL that you want to create the code for, it will just pop down and let you type in the categories. And so that's an easy way to be able to get that one done. So QR codes, huge way to be able to help understanding your audience, and then really as you're going through, just make sure you have that plan. But that's all we had prepped for today. We do have more questions.
Yeah, there's one last thing I want to point out. On your table, everybody should have one of these little templates. Now, I can't give these to you, but I wanted you to see it. If it fits through that hole, it's considered a letter by the United States Postal Service. 1/4 inch by 6 1/8 inches. 1/4 inch. So it's like, that's the key. It can be as thick as 1/4 inch for it to fit as a letter. I just thought it was pretty cool. These are the templates that we use to track mail and other things.
So if you want to get a hold of us, we love being a resource to others. We work with all kinds of different clients, but you don't have to be a client to be able to be connected to us. We love helping and supporting others. So if you ever have any questions or just want to be able to shoot the breeze about some kind of marketing or direct mail thing, we have our LinkedIn pages up here. These are our email addresses and then our company websites. So please reach out to us. We have business cards up here with QR codes on them, and they're neat. And
Well, and take the notepads and
take the
pens.
notepads. Yep, absolutely. And we're so thankful to all of you for joining and listening to us today. And it's been great to be able to talk with each of you. So thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
And we will be back at 6.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we would like your slideshow.
Yeah, reach out to me on email and I'll send it to you. I know you, so I can just send it to you.
But others might also want
Yeah, we'll be happy
Yeah,
to
there's
do
a lot of
that.
good
Happy to
stuff
share
on
the
there.
slides.
There were some great quotes.
There is, yeah. And then also, you got done.